Hi, today we're going to go over an often misunderstood feature that has to do with these two intercom remote stations and the systems that they're connected to. So over here on the left, this is a NuTone IS405, and the IS405 is used with the IM and the IMA 4006 intercom system. And here on the right, we have an ISA445, and this is used with the IM and the IMA 4406 system. And while these two speakers look very different, they're actually almost identically the same. They look very different because this grill style was in use between 1986 and the end of 1995, and this grill style was used in 1996 through the end of about 2008. So cosmetically they are different. However, from a functional point of view, they're exactly and identically the same. And they are also interchangeable. You could take ISA 445s and use them with a 4006 system. You can take an IS405 and use it with a 4406 system, and it'll work just fine. Or you could have a mix. You could have half of these and half of these on either of those models, and it doesn't make any difference because from a functional point of view, they're exactly identical. Each station has exactly the same control layout, and the buttons do exactly the same thing. We have a volume control for each station on each grill. We have 4 buttons on each grill, and the buttons are labeled. We have private on and off as it is here. We have inside patio talk and inside patio talk. We have door talk and end call and end call. Now I will point out, for those of you who really pay attention, on the ISA 445, under the end call button it says AM FM CD control, and that's a feature that's exclusively with the 4406 series, but it's not something that's done here at the remote station. It's not different circuitry in the remote station. It's all built into the master station in your kitchen or wherever it's located. It's not relevant to the interchangeability of these two units. Confusion on these systems, and this has been going on since 1986, and I have installed thousands of 4006s and thousands of 4406s and have done thousands of service calls on them, and this confusion exists probably on every single one I have ever worked on, ever installed, ever done a service call on. And the confusion revolves around, what does the private button do? So we have a private button here and it's off and on, and a private button here and it's off and on. Understand what the private button does. First, you really have to understand how the intercom functions on both a 4006 and a 4406, because the way the intercom functions is exactly the same on both models. So both of those models have a feature that NuTone called hands-free reply. And what that means is it only takes one person to operate the intercom. If someone goes up to the master station or someone goes up to a remote speaker to call to someone else in the house, they push and hold down their inside patio talk button. They call to the other person in the house, and then when they release the button, it goes into automatic hands-free reply mode, and the other person can simply answer back. They don't have to be right at the station. They don't have to operate the controls. They can be across the room sitting at a desk or in the bathtub or whatever it is, and they'll talk back, and the person that initiated the call will be able to hear the reply. And then they would push the button again, the inside patio talk button again, and say, okay, that's fine, I'll come find you. And then they release the button and the other person would reply hands-free, okay, see you in a minute. And then the person that initiates the call would push the end call button to cancel the intercom call. You're using a system that has hands-free reply built into it. When someone pushes the inside patio talk button to call to someone in the house, when you release the inside patio talk button and the system goes into hands-free reply mode, all of the other remote stations are now in hands-free reply mode. Anyone in the house can answer back. If 4 people talk in 4 different rooms, you'll hear all of those replies at the same time at this station. Likewise, if someone has a radio on in another room or someone's watching a movie in another room, the movie and the radio are part of the background sounds of the house, and you'll be able to hear those background sounds in this station. So all of the other stations are picking up sounds from their areas and sending it back to the originating station, and you'll be able to hear it because the system doesn't discriminate between someone talking and replying back or just general background noise. How does this work into the private button? Well, systems that have hands-free reply, like the 4006 and the 4406, mean that they also have the ability of letting someone in the house eavesdrop on someone else in the house. And the example I always have used during demonstrations with people are, let's say for instance that you're working in your home office and you're on the phone and you're talking to your stockbroker and you're getting that really good insider stock tip and you're going to make a lot of money. Well, you don't want anybody maybe overhearing that because it's private information and you're having a private phone conversation. Now let's say that maybe while you're on the phone in your office talking to the stockbroker, your local NuTone service guy, that would be me, is at your house doing general service on your intercom system. While I'm working on the system and I'm testing things and I'm pushing the inside patio talk button on each location to make sure it works properly, when I push the button and tap on the speaker to see if I can hear it come out in the other rooms, when I release the button and it goes into hands-free reply mode, I can hear you talking to the stockbroker because the speaker in your office is turned up and it's in hands-free reply mode, and I can hear you talking, or at least your end of the conversation, with the stockbroker, and I can overhear that really good stock tip, and when I get done, I'm going to go back to the office and buy 10,000 shares of it and make $1 million. If you're a savvy intercom user and you understand how your system operates, you'll know that you have a way to prevent someone eavesdropping on you in your office while you're on that highly illegal, probably, phone call. And what you would do is you would get up from your desk and you'd walk over to your remote station, regardless of which one it is, and you would push the private feature on. The private button is the only button on the station that has a 2-position latching switch. 3 intercom buttons on the station, inside patio talk, door talk, and end call. These are all spring-loaded switches. So when you push it, it goes down, and when you release it, it pops back up because there's a spring inside the switch. So does door talk, so does end call, and it does the same on the 445. So they're all spring-loaded. They're momentary contact push buttons. The private button on each station, it has a latch built into it. So when you push it down, it latches into the down position, and when you push it the second time, it pops back out. And the same thing is true on the 445. It latches down and it pops back out. Now, one of the problems with this fundamental design had always been 2 things. One, the difference between on, which is latched down, and off, which is unlatched, so it's out all the way. The difference in height of the button is very minimal. So from a visual point of view, it's a little hard to determine. The problem with the private feature is that it's the first button on the panel. It would have made more sense to move it over here to shift everything to the left and have made it the last button on the panel, because people have this natural inclination to push the first button on whatever it is they're standing in front of. Let's get to the heart of the video. What is the private feature? What does the private feature do when you turn it on? Well, it's actually very simple. It turns off the hands-free reply from that station. When you turn the private feature on, sounds from that area that station are picking up all of a sudden end. They disappear. They go away because you've turned off the hands-free reply from that station. Private feature does not disable the intercom in that room. It does not shut off the music in that room. It does not turn off the doorbell in that room. It doesn't do any of those things at all. The only thing that it does is it turns off the hands-free reply from that room. Someone in that room, they can still hear the music, they can still hear the doorbell, and they can still hear someone call to them on the intercom system, but they can't answer back hands-free unless they turn the private feature off. Classic problem that you would run up against is on newly installed systems where people are just learning how the system operates. Over the first week or so, accidentally, a lot of the private buttons would get pushed on into the on position. And then we'd get a phone call. And usually the phone call was from mom. And mom was calling to say, well, I'm calling to my kids upstairs in the playroom, and they say that they hear me, and they say that they're answering me back, and I really think that they are, but I can't hear them anywhere. So what's wrong with the intercom system? It must be broken. And then I would explain a little bit about the private button, and I would ask her to please get on a cordless phone and walk around, and I would have her unlatch all of the private buttons and then try the intercom, and amazingly enough, it did work. So the private buttons always generated a lot of confusion. We always explained it during demonstrations, but it takes a little bit of time. There's a learning curve on intercom systems, and you really have to live with it for a few weeks before you really start to understand how it all works. So if you have an IM or an IMA 4006, or you have an IM or an IMA 4406, and your hands-free reply isn't working, the very first thing you should check is go room by room and make sure that the private feature is in the off position. Latch down is on, and unlatched and out is off, because 9 times out of 10, that's what's wrong with it. I hope you found this interesting and helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, because that always helps. There'll be a banner right here that shows you how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell or on the wheel, put in your email address, and every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.